Greetings and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Kiyonah. May you be blessed. Today I'd like to talk with you about conflict resolution for anyone in our network who interacts with each other, so that we can think about how to be conscious when we navigate these situations. Our bodies, our material selves, are our interface with the world. So how we speak, how we act, how we look, our nonverbal communication is how we interface with the rest of the world and humanity. Connect, work, network, so forth and so on. And so you want to focus on communication in conflict resolution. Communication, and that is extremely difficult when something has happened that has brought on strong emotions, retaliatory actions, just burning hatred, for each other. So how can we do this, I can only speak for myself because I'm not a professional. But I mainly had to confront my ego defenses, the part of me that fought to survive, because my conflict came in the form of power struggles, where people wanted to take things away from me and get rid of me and replace me. Different situations, like in marriage, like in the New World Rising, like in housing situations, it always revolves around that for me, because that's how I interface with the Matrix. And I can change that story by changing my communication with myself and with others. Okay? And the first place to start is to vent and rage safely away from the person you have a conflict with. So I usually say something like, excuse me, I don't mean to cause trouble, but I have PTSD and I feel triggered right now, and I need 5 minutes of space to get myself together. Because I really do have PTSD, and when I get triggered, you can see me shaking and the wildness in my eyes and how it feels like I'm just going to explode, or else I shut down and become totally flat and dead. So I tell them I just need 5 minutes, and anybody I said that to always understands. And then I go and I breathe and I smoke a cigarette. I listen to some music. I get in touch with my divine self, who is in the driver's seat really of this story, and I need some attention put on that, I need some attention put on my earthly self that is interfacing with the Matrix. So I have to consciously communicate with myself about this conflict and be humble and say, conflict usually comes because of a threat to someone's security, a threat to their way of doing things, a threat to their social status, something like that. So the skills that you really want in this conflict resolution of anything that might happen in our network, no matter what kind of conflict it is we want to be emotionally present and conscious and aware of how we feel and think about the situation, and try really hard to see through the eyes of the other person, to see how they feel. What is their nonverbal communication? If actions speak louder than words, then what have their actions been? What is their body language? And give it some thought and some attention, just receptively. And then cultivate your ability to sort of detach and shut down whenever any conflict happens, so that you remain as neutral as a Buddha statue, and you can de-escalate the conflict by being cool, by making a distraction, by soothing people by saying, well, let's just lay that on the table and go have some coffee and just relax first and then come back and deal with this. It might work, it might not. If someone's really toxic and explosive and dangerous, and how they can sabotage you, cyberstalk you, or whatever, then be extremely careful. But if it's a normal person, then it's good to de-escalate the harsh feelings that have been triggered by this situation and let your divine self step in and sort of reweave it in a way that de-escalates the conflict, relaxes each other, and makes the finding a solution easier. You have to always focus on safety, which is part of harmony, and maintaining your sense of community. You don't want to do anything to rip a hole in the fabric of your community that could then start coming unraveled and let in all kinds of bad stuff. You want to hold this person with concern. Even if you have to detach and get total distance, psychically and spiritually, you need to just detach, de-escalate, and calm down the energy in a conflict. Now, as far as my personal experience, I've been through power struggles where people tried to sabotage me in order to get me out of the way so that then they could take my position and the power that I had earned through respect and hard work. And they wanted to take that away and push me out of the way. And they did not succeed because I went into PTSD mode and I fought like a home bomb in a knife fight, but with words and actions. Even resorting to witchcraft, magic, in order to bind this person and shut them up and make them stop doing this to me. It was that extreme of a feeling, this conflict. Well, my partner who founded the New World Rising was like, just let it rest for a while, let the heat die down, and then you can apologize to her if you want to. And if she doesn't want to come around, then we'll just finesse some new connections with other people, We'll just keep moving along. So it took me a long time to not feel threatened and attacked and kind of paranoid about this person and their vindictiveness and vengefulness. And I ended up taking some classes in conflict management and nonviolent communication to try to understand the dynamics of what was going on and what we could do, So power struggles might be a special situation, I'm not sure, where someone tries to take over and get rid of you and get you out of the way. I'm not really sure. I know I had to stay grounded and centered in myself and keep reminding myself that I had earned my position and that I was not abusing my position and that there was no reason for this power struggle that was coming from me. So I had to stand my ground and fight energetically and spiritually to not be destroyed by this person, either emotionally or physically or any other way. So I recognized her need for a power struggle, but that didn't change anything. I couldn't do anything about it. So conflicts are where we not only have a disagreement, but we feel some kind of a threat that's ongoing. It's not just like, where do we go for dinner? Oh, I didn't want to go there, but I'll just live with it. This is a conflict. Like you agreed to something for a certain amount of money by a certain date because everything in your life was stacked on that agreement. And they didn't come through, so all of your stuff fell apart, and now you blame them for failing to come through with their agreement so that all of your agreements collapsed. How do you deal with that? Well, conflicts fester when they're ignored. So even if the person's toxic and you have to cut ties with them, you still need to keep communicating with your higher self and process and integrate the meaning of this conflict, and always be sure to talk with the most respect you can to the other person, even if you're very biting in your sarcasm or your passive-aggressive comments. Do it with respect. It's the non-verbal energy, the non-verbal body language that really tells you where someone's at, not their words. Okay? And we respond to conflicts based on our perceptions of those clues, what they're actually doing, what their body language is, and so forth and so on. And these conflicts, it's like our life is designed by a genius. These conflicts are usually perfect for triggering whatever our core wound issue is, or what our script is that we keep playing out. And it'll keep playing out until we somehow understand it and transcend it, and then we'll move on to other lessons. But it'll keep coming back as an opportunity for growth until it's fully processed on all levels. So that's okay, you know. So there are healthy ways to deal with conflict when it comes up, and there are unhealthy ways. I have definitely fallen prey to pretty much every unhealthy way of responding to conflict, and it was instinctual and powerful, intense. But my partner always chose the healthy responses. He is older than me, and he's been through a lot with activism, but I don't know, he can be like a monk or some kind of Buddha. So unhealthy is like the inability to recognize and respond to the things that matter to the other person. That's how I was. I perceived this power struggle, and anything that I let this person in on would be threatened to be taken over and taken away. So you can see my ego struggles. And my partner's response was to recognize and respond to what they needed and say, well, give her her own special role, you know, give her her job. But I felt so threatened that I couldn't even tolerate the thought. So unhealthy is explosive, angry, hurtful, resentful reactions. And that happens a lot if you have PTSD or anxiety or other personality issues. But my partner is like calm, non-defensive, respectful, quiet. You know, he just stands there really solid like a Buddha statue. It's unhealthy to withdraw love and to reject, isolate, shame, or cause the other person to fear abandonment. And that, as you probably know, that is a very powerful weapon to hurt somebody. But my partner was always practicing the readiness to forgive and forget, and to move past the conflict without holding resentments or anger, and just go on and try again, you know, no big deal. That was a little thunderstorm. It's unhealthy to have an inability to compromise or see the other person's side. I could see the other person's side, but I could not compromise. I was like a tyrant or a queen about it. And of course, my partner practices the ability to seek compromise and to avoid punishing people. Just live and let it be. And then it's unhealthy to have fear and avoidance of the conflict or the expectation of bad outcomes. So yeah, I went on hiatus for a couple of years after this conflict to be completely invisible and let everything die down and then come back and start again. And I expected a bad outcome every time I would go online, to be attacked or talked about or something by these people. And it's healthy to believe that facing conflict head on is the best thing for both sides. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And a lot of it's about timing and awareness. So, you know, carrying conflict is like carrying stress. It's bad for your heart. It's bad for your nervous system. It's bad for your hormones. It's bad for your beauty. So the ability to successfully resolve conflict comes from managing stress quickly while you remain alert and calm. You just handle the situation. I can't do this because, like, if I were to see blood or something really, really filthy or somebody injured with a broken bone or something, my body instantly starts heaving, gagging and dry heaving, and I cannot control it. Even if my mind totally accepts whatever it is, if my eyes see something like that, I start throwing up and stuff. So I'm very sensitive. To successfully resolve conflict, you must control your emotions and your behavior without threatening, frightening, or punishing other people. And that's what your instinct makes you want to do. So you really have to unplug from that ego or that mentality, that warrior mentality, because it's way out of proportion and it's not going to help with conflict resolution. So always pay attention to the feelings being expressed, not just the spoken words. The feelings, like someone feels left out, they feel like they want to be a part of things, they feel like this is their last chance to plug in, and or else they'll commit suicide. I've heard all kinds of different stuff. Feelings being expressed of why people so urgently need to win in a conflict situation. Be aware of and respectful of differences. By avoiding disrespectful words and actions, you can usually resolve the problem faster. Words are literally like darts in a blowgun, and you can hit people with them and poison them. So you need to be very careful. You can also cast spells on people with your words. It's very powerful, more powerful than most people realize. So the 2 core skills are the ability to be comfortable enough with your emotions that you can just detach and witness everything without actually being triggered. And the other one is to be able to quickly de-escalate stressful situations in the moment. Just say, let's just chuck this in the fuck it bucket, and just have some coffee, have a truce, and then come back and see how we feel. So yeah, you want to either put on the gas and get out of there, put on the brakes and examine things closely, or just gently push on the gas and navigate your way through it with conscious communication in the conflict and say, look, I know how you feel because I've been in the same situation, and my empathy tells me that you feel blah blah. And I just want you to know I care about you, and I don't really understand what's going on, but I'm totally into working it out. What is bothering you? Did I do something wrong? And then that they can formulate a chance and say, yeah, I didn't want you to make that decision, or I didn't want you to do that, or something like that. And then you will be triggered by hearing that to feel really upset in some way. And you have to choose to just be a witness, like a priest who's listening to a confession. Oops, forgot to turn off my sound. Sorry about that. So, be sensitive to how fast or slow or connected or solitary the situation needs to be. You need to be able to accurately read your own and other people's body language. If it looks like they're going to explode, if it looks like they're shut down, if it looks like they're feeling vulnerable and in pain. Try to hear what someone is really saying by listening to the feelings that they're expressing. And be aware of your own feelings, but don't be owned by them. Just take them as an indicator. Be in touch with the needs of each person. Acknowledge them. Say, I know you want your own whatever, because I have one, So if there's anything I can do to help you accomplish that, please know I'm available and here for you. So that's the basics of that, but, if you really want to resolve a conflict, then you have to compromise rather than totally getting your way. You can be a tyrant, and you can dominate, and you can control people and situations, I'm sure. But is that what you really want? If it is, then okay, fine. If not, then you want to make compromise and conflict resolution more of a priority than getting your way. Like, I don't want to be pushed out in that position in my life, and I need to stretch and expand and make a place for other people who would also like to do awesome things and not feel threatened by that or triggered by that. I've been attacked and sabotaged too many times by people that I trusted who should have been trustworthy. And I'm still healing this issue, and healing these kind of issues will bring those people into your life as a mirror to show you what still needs to be processed and let go of as the lessons are learned, so that you can continue in your evolution. And conflicts are that opportunity, one of the opportunities. And you want to use conscious communication, because our body, our material selves that talk and react and perceive and respond, that is our divine self's interface with the world. And we need to put our divine self in control of that. We need to integrate our divine self into our regular self, and then when we handle conflicts and things, it'll be led by wisdom. And you can integrate your higher self, your divine self, with your earthly self rather than keeping them separate, by just letting them dwell together in your being and picturing your chakras, your merkabas, your merkanas, your meridian points, the flow of chi and electricity and prana and everything through your body, and picture it glowing more and more and more with sacred, incredible colors and patterns and things until it occupies every cell of your being. You can say every cell in my being is happy, healthy, and whole, And then when you go into conflict, you radiate that absolute centeredness and wisdom. So basically you want to, focus on the present time. If there was a conflict in the past that did not get resolved, if they're willing to just start with a clean slate as though it never happened, then you should go with that unless there's a reason to not trust them as being safe or being honest. You want to give them another chance in ways that don't tempt that quality about them, that don't put them in a position where they might lie or they might steal or they might whatever. Help them fit in ways that nurture positive qualities. And so, if you're going to focus a lot of energy on conflict resolution, then of course you're going to want to pick your battles. What should you just let go of, and make some jokes and comments about and let go of it? And what should you really take seriously as a conflict? That someone just crosses the line, they do something inappropriate, or they're having a pattern of something, or they're misperceiving you in some way. You have to choose your battles carefully. You have to be willing to attain resolution in conflict resolution. If you just want to have conflict and not attain resolution, then there's not going to be any conflict resolution. You just want it to stay the way it is. And I'm kind of still in that feeling with a lot of the conflicts I've experienced. I still just want total distance, and I want to feel like I have things the way I want them without any interference from those people. I don't want any conflicts whatsoever, because I'm still being triggered and still learning how to handle it. So you have to be willing to attain resolution. You have to be willing to shake the person's hand, say I'm sorry, say, is there something we can do to work together and make sure this doesn't happen again, etc. And if you just can't come to an agreement, then just agree to disagree and let it go. You might have to totally disengage if it's the other person having a conflict with you and they just won't let go. You might have to hide or change locations or something if they just really won't let go. Whenever you do fight, you want to try your best to fight fair. Don't fight dirty. Don't get the cops to do your dirty work. Don't set up sabotage situations just to get revenge or to get even. That's a terrible thing to do. Terrible. That adds to the problem, not the solution. So do things that bring about peace, like giving someone a fruit basket or, subscribing them to their favorite newspaper or magazine. Do things to show that you're offering a peace token, and practice effective communication where you're not defensive, you're not attacking, you're not passive aggressive, you're just doing effective listening, and you're being positive and you're living by your vision and your principles. And practice that in conflict. It's challenging. And I'll talk more about nonviolent communication in a future video. I need to go for now, so remember to be beautiful, be free, and be true to yourself. And take care and take it easy. And remember to be blessed and be blessed and to be a blessing. And until I talk to you again, namaste and blessed be.